Good evening and welcome to the Malden Zone. My name is Ron Cochran and I am the Director of Communications for the City of Malden in Mayor Gary Christensen's office, and I'm really pleased to join you tonight for another edition of the Malden Zone. And I think it's every third Wednesday now. Our office is so graciously invited to come and join the Malden Zone and host the show. And we're able to get a lot of information out to you that we wouldn't normally be able to get out to you in our traditional channel. So it's a real honor and it's a privilege to host the Malden Zone. And I want to thank especially Fran Matuccio, the great producer, creator of this show, and all his efforts to get this show on MATV. And of course, we'd like to thank Malden Access Television for putting so much valuable content out there to the City of Malden. Tonight, I'm really excited about this show. We have a lot of really neat things to talk about tonight. I am the communications director, so I have a little bit of bias. I like to talk about communication stuff. So tonight, we're going to talk about communications, but specifically technology, and the technology that drives the efforts that we in the mayor's office use to communicate to the residents of Malden. So we've got a really jam-packed show. We've got three fabulous guests for you tonight, and I want to get to them, and I'm anxious to get to them, but I wanted to just go over a few things about the show tonight. So just a little background about my position and who I am. Again, I'm the Director of Communications for the City of Malden in Mayor Christensen's office, and my job is to basically take all of the information that is in City Hall and display it to the end users, to the residents of Malden, and just to kind of get as much information as I can possibly out there. We've got a lot of different moving parts in this city. You know, we have many different departments. We have public safety departments. We have permits inspections departments. We have the mayor's office. We have a number of departments that all have very different in-depth jobs. And it's very hard as a resident sometimes to kind of swallow that all. You know, you call City Hall and you have a very specific task in mind about what it is that you want. And it's hard to know the ins and outs of what we do in City Hall. Mayor Christensen, to his credit, realized that City Hall needed somebody to kind of open up the insides and say, hey, look, we need somebody to really convey what it is that we do here and how we do it. So I was honored, and it was a privilege to take this job as communications director. So I thank Mayor Christensen and all his efforts. And also, too, you know, as my boss, you know, it's good to have somebody who gives me that freedom to practice my passion in communication, and specifically communication technology, to my best efforts, and really kind of lets me do what I want, really. I mean, you know, it sounds funny when you say that, but I consider it a great responsibility, because every single time that I engage the residents of Malden, whether it be from our Facebook account or from our YouTube channel or in a press release or our Twitter feed or anything, anytime we touch base with the residents, I take that communication very seriously, because it is an image that we present not only as a municipal government to the residents, but also to the world. You know, we have new folks that are coming into Malden that are dining at our restaurants, that are considering living or renting their apartments here. And we have an image to uphold, because Malden, let's face it, is a fantastic place to live, to raise your kids, to be. It's an exciting place. Great restaurants, exciting recreation, all this stuff. And we like to convey that message to the outside world. So again, I am honored to have that position as communications director. So let's get into the show tonight, because again, I'm really excited about this. So we're going to talk about a couple of things that we've got cooking up in the mayor's office for communication. First is something that's already in place that I think the residents don't necessarily have a full grasp of, or I don't think it has quite the wide adoption that I feel like it really deserves. And that is a means of the residents to submit what we like to call quality of life issues to City Hall. So that'd be potholes, and your trash might have been missed, or you might have noticed that a local park needed to have its hedges trimmed, or you see an unsightly property, or some kind of public safety issue. These are things that can really bog you down as a resident. You go out, you work in Boston perhaps, or outside the city, and maybe you don't spend a lot of your time driving in and outside of the city, but when you leave and when you come back, these can be real eyesores, or I guess car sores, right? Because your potholes can really ding up your car and wreck your front end. But also too, you like to enjoy Malden for what it is and the great resource that it is. So traditionally, years ago, the approach was to call City Hall and make a request, and you didn't quite know who it was that you needed to talk to, but you knew something was wrong, right? You knew there was a pothole, perhaps a manhole cover that you didn't know who owned it, or you didn't know what it is. But the bottom line is that it was bothering you. So we have instituted a program. It's a mobile application called Commonwealth Connect, also known as See-Click Fix, and I want to talk about that because it's a really exciting application. And again, I don't think it's quite been absorbed by the public yet, and I really am hoping that this Malden Zone episode will be a means for us to get the word out there and get you as residents engaged in what it is that we want to do, and that's to make Malden a better place to live, a better place to raise your children, a better place to be in general. So that's numero uno, okay? We're really excited about that. Second thing is completely different in topic, but it all, again, the overarching theme is resident communication, and that is Malden is a diverse city. We've heard things said such as we're the fourth most diverse community in the entire state of Massachusetts. Astounding numbers of languages are spoken in this city. There was a survey once or recently taken where we asked our high school students at Malden High School to list what languages were spoken in their home. And if I'm not mistaken, the number came in at about 70 different languages spoken at home. That is astonishing. So, obviously, with 70 languages spoken and the thousands of kids that speak these languages at home, there's a really good chance that parents don't have English as their first language and perhaps don't even have English in their arsenal. So there is a real mountain to climb when it comes to communicating to not only residents but more specifically to our students and their parents. There's important information that has to go home, and it can often be a very difficult thing when translation has to come in between. And we have somebody here to talk about efforts made in the school. And we're also going to talk about, in general, the city and what we're doing as a municipality. How do we communicate? Again, this is my my mantra here is how do we communicate as a municipality with our residents? And again, with these diverse set of languages that we have in our inventory here, we have to figure out a way to communicate with our residents. So we're really excited about that. So that is what we're going to have on the show tonight. And with that, I'd like to invite on our first guest. So if you come over here. Just click it on your tie. Director with Mayor Christensen's office in the city of Malden. And again, we have a very exciting show tonight. We're talking about communication in the city of Malden, and very specifically communication technology. With our first guest tonight, I'd like to welcome Josh Velasquez. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
That's right.
Okay. We talked about languages at home. I speak 2 languages at home. I speak English and Boston. So I don't know if you knew that was a language, but that is about all that comes out of my mouth. So I'm not very good at pronunciation of ethnic last names. Anyway, Josh is here not to talk about the language part of it, but you are here to talk about our exciting new application, Commonwealth Connect. And listen, before we get into that, I want to learn a little bit about you. Tell us about your background. I know you're a web guy. So what's your background? What do you do for work? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah, I work for a Boston startup, and what we do is we work on a platform that allows people to test their skills. And so my role there is the director of user experience. And what that means is there's a UX person behind every website, and those people are the people responsible for deciding where buttons go, what kind of headlines you see, what the layout of the page looks like. And then we work with engineers and we work with designers to make sure that the vision for the site gets implemented the way that we like. And so what we end up doing at the end of the day is all the look and feel and the way that you connect with the website emotionally. That's kind of what UX people, user experience people, are responsible for.
Really, emotionally. So
Yeah.
really, this factors into the equation.
Definitely.
Then.
Yeah. I mean, you visit any website, you probably see that you, I hate this site, or I really like this site.
Yeah.
Like those kind of gut reactions that you have toward a website. Somebody made decisions that kind of led you to that reaction, or didn't make good decisions that led you to the negative ones.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want a user experience report on cityofmalden.org yet. We're in the process of actually looking at that.
Right.
And actually, Josh is a ringer, okay? We were really pleased to find out that, so we put out a message, it was about 2 months ago, and we asked some different residents if they would participate in a resident technology advisory committee. And we were looking for Malden's finest. You know, we have so many great residents in this city that have such a broad range of experience, and we really needed somebody to come in, or we needed a group of people to come in and advise us as an office about how we could improve upon our technology and our specifically our communication technology. And what prompted this was we're as you know, we're looking for a website redesign. Josh graciously volunteered his time and joins us once or twice a month, depending on meeting availability,
Yep.
To offer his expert advice. And I really, and I don't know if I've said that, but publicly is a great time to say it. I really appreciate
It's my pleasure.
what you do for us. Okay, so you happen to also be a champion user of the C-Click-Fix system.
I'm glad to hear you say that.
Yeah, this is really exciting. So the C-Click-Fix system is a web and mobile-based system of reporting issues to the city. As I said, quality of life issues. Now we've got a fun thing, as you know. What has been said before is that making things into a game can make it more engaging.
Yep.
You could probably attest to that from user experience
Absolutely.
side, right?
Yep.
C-Click-Fix, our application, our mobile application, grants user points, or what they call civic points, to people who report issues to the city. So hey, you're out there, you're snapping a picture of a pothole, you're reporting it. Hey, you're doing this work for us really for free, and we appreciate it. So we got this little game theory, and we have a number of points. Our highest resident point award winner is Josh. So I don't know. I mean, I can't offer you any money.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean,
No, that's
how's
fine.
this? A pat on the back.
Perfect. Yeah.
And by the way, if anybody's out there counting, because I know our mayor is for sure, Josh has 1,010 civic points. He is noted as a digital superhero.
Wow. I didn't know there was a title.
Yeah, you are a digital superhero. So we wanted to just get in and show you just a little visual of this. So Fran, if you could bring up that C-Click-Fix map that we have, the other one, the C-Click-Fix map with all the dots on it. We wanted to show you, yeah, so what we're seeing right here is if you were to log onto our website, or if you were to log onto our mobile application, we have these little hit bubbles that are various colors. This shows you basically the city of Malden, and it shows you all the issues that have been reported out there. We can't do it here because we have an image, but if you zoomed in, you'd notice that there are actually issues on top of issues. And our guests coming up will tell us exactly how many issues are out there. But it's a pretty impressive number when you see it. I think the engagement there shows us that people are really engaged. Now, Josh here, again, seasoned veteran. We actually, if you could bring up that second image, which is the one that shows us one of Josh's specific requests that he actually put into our See-Click-Fix system. And I don't know if it'll play well on TV, but basically what you see is Josh here took a picture of a pothole. On the right it shows his profile, and then down below it shows what it was that he said. You know, he saw a pothole, like to see it fixed. And then of course you see our director of DPW, Department of Public Works, Bobby Knox, actually responding to the resident. For some folks, I don't know about you, this can be, you know, a little weird. You're talking directly to the city guy. Tell me about this experience.
It was great, yeah. I mean, my first use with See-Click-Fix was I actually went to cityofmalden.org wanting to report a pothole over by the Oak Grove station. And I found this link that said contact us, and I clicked on it. And there was this little form down there that said, if your request is about any of these things, go here. And so then I was sent to the See-Click-Fix form, and that's the first time I ever saw it. And then after submitting that form, I realized that there's this whole website behind this little form that I could interact with and I could earn points on and all of that. So
that got you worked up. That
yeah.
really got you motivated to maybe go on top
What really
of it.
got me motivated is the speed with which the response came, and also being able to see how Mayor Christensen was active on there and Bob Knox was active on there. So it was inspiring to see so many city officials and people caring about the city and its well-being.
So speak to that in your background, because I know, you know, often in the web world they talk about who's the voice, right,
Sure.
behind. So that meant something to you, that it wasn't a robotic response, that it was a real person that you knew, you know, lived in the city.
It wasn't a robot. It also wasn't a black hole. Those are sometimes the two extremes with
Okay,
web
all right.
communication.
Yes.
Is like you don't know where your message is going to go.
Yeah.
Or you know that your message got received by a robot, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to be able to see that there were humans on the other side.
That's huge for us, because, you know, that is when we first looked into getting this system, which we'll get into in detail how we acquired the system. That was our hope, you know, that residents will go out there, be as enthusiastic as you, get in there, report the issues, and then of course the real part of it is, as you alluded to, it's not just about submitting. You got to go out there and patch the pothole, right? I mean, you got to close the deal, right? So I think that's really important. Again, our next guest will talk a lot about that. So let me ask you, how does this impact? I mean, you had already been here as a resident, but, you know, does this make you be an advocate or maybe evangelize the city and say, hey, things are cool? Like, does this impact your decision to move here? You're a new homeowner, right?
That's
in the city of Malden. Congratulations,
by the way.
way.
Pine Street. And it gives me great confidence knowing that the city is there on the other side of this portal. And as a homeowner, it's great. The very first thing I did when we closed on our house was we drove up and down Pine Street, and I must have submitted a dozen tickets with potholes.
I think we've seen those.
Yeah, you probably have. I got a lot of points through that.
Yeah.
And that was the first thing I did with See-Click-Fix on Pine Street. So it was great to know that as a resident of this area, I can watch for what other people are submitting. I have this watch area around my ward.
Okay.
That I actually get emails like a dozen times a day when people submit reports to See-Click-Fix.
So you're teaming up with your fellow neighbors.
Yep, and See-Click-Fix gives us a voting option where if you really want to see something done, you can click vote. It's really simple. It takes like 3 seconds. Yeah. And it's just a way to tell your neighbor that you have their back, and also a way to get Bob to work a little faster.
I like that.
Submitting some of those
pressure on us.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah, I agree. Maybe Bob wouldn't agree, but you know, but
we'll find out in a minute. Right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, but that's, you know, you hit the nail on the head. That's what we're after, and I really appreciate that. That's how it ended up. You know, one of the things that I didn't mention in the opener, but this See-Click-Fix application, we were able to acquire this application on a grant through something called the Community Innovation Challenge Grant, which is something that's put out through the Secretary of Administration and Finance for the state of Massachusetts. We got in with a regional partnership of many cities and towns, and I don't even know if you know this, but you can take your See-Click-Fix and report it in up to 30 other cities and towns.
That's awesome.
So the best way to do it is you're in the city of Boston and you say, want to report a pothole, and you're at work and you click that image and off to the Boston DPW it goes.
I think I've actually seen that in action. I think when I was at work, I work over in the South End in Boston, and I loaded up the app randomly someday, and the logo on the app changed to like the Massachusetts logo or something. So it knew where I was, and it used all that location awareness to tell me, like, look, you're now out of Malden, you're kind of in the broader, I think it might have been Boston or something.
Right.
And it was great to know that no matter where I took a picture or where I submitted my report, it was going to go to the right people.
Yeah, and that is, again, that's the essence of it all. But in the end of it all, we really want you just back in Malden. So we're happy to see you call Malden home. And I want to thank you, Josh, for being our guest tonight and speaking so enthusiastically on the application.
Sure.
So thank you very much. And we'll bring our second guest.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
There he is.
Whoa, I'm attached.
Welcome back to the Malden Zone. Again, my name is Ron Cochran. I am the Director of Communications for the City of Malden in Mayor Christensen's office. And tonight we've been talking about communication, and we've been talking about how we as a municipality talk to the residents of Malden and the things that we say to you and the things that we try to solve for you. We're talking about See-Click Fix, our application to report quality of life issues in the City of Malden. Okay, enough about us talking to you. What about you talking to us, and how do we respond to that, right? So joining us here tonight, Director of Public Works, Bobby Knox.
Thanks for having me, Ron. It's a big part of our day-to-day operation with See-Click Fix. And first of all, I'd just like to say, because last time that I was on the show, I didn't get a chance to do this. I wanted to say hello to my daughter and my son, Ryan and Caitlin, out there. And now back to business.
That's sweet, but I once tried to say hello to my daughter and my two sons, and it turns out that they have absolutely no interest in watching me on TV. So you get the award on that one.
Well, thanks.
But so you're here tonight to talk about what happens when our previous guest, Josh, submits that pothole on Pine Street, right? Doesn't go into a black box, goes to a real person, and then it becomes work for you to do. I want to say that our previous guest at 1,000 civic points, while, an earnest effort, doesn't quite get to the level of the king of civic points. Is there even like what do they call the number of civic points that you have? God?
I'm not really sure.
Civic points God
Yeah.
is up in the triple digits, 10,000 or something like that. So tell us about it. So when these requests come in, how does this work in your office?
Basically, the requests come in, all day long, all week long, and they automatically go right to many devices. I have it right to my cell phone, to my iPad. So I get the request, and then each morning when I go into work, I set up my work orders for the day for the crews by the See-Click Fix request. A lot of them. Some things are fixed overnight, other things are not, depending on what the request is. We try to handle as many calls as we possibly can. So it helps me organize the workday for the crews through requests that come in from the residents.
Yeah, that's great. So in other words, you're actually driving your work plan around what comes in through See-Click Fix. So you're arranging, what would be helpful? Tell us about how it happened before and then how it is now. How does this change the way that you do your job?
Previously, before See-Click Fix and before Mayor Christensen's administration came into office at the DPW, a call would come in from various locations, whether it be a councilor or to the DPW office or mayor's office, and it would get written down on a piece of paper and stuck on the board, and
old-fashioned pegboard, right? Yeah.
Pegboard, and someone would hand a piece of paper off to you and say, "Yeah, this just came in," and there was no real tracking or no organization in the way that we did things on a day-to-day basis down there. So with See-Click Fix and the previous app that we had there, the Zendesk app, was something that when I came in as the DPW director in July, with talking to Mayor Christensen and his staff, and to put something that we would have a little better organization in keeping orders intact with numbers, response numbers, and where residents could keep us accountable to do our day-to-day activities.
Numbers, you tell us, 'cause these are impressive, right? What are we looking at right now? How many requests submitted? How is our response rate?
Before I came here tonight, I just pulled a little query on the numbers for DPW requests only. We've had 1,835 requests come in for
Wow.
DPW.
That's a lot.
Since out of that 1,835, we've resolved 1,689,
That is an outstanding percentage.
which leaves us 144 open tickets and various different kinds of tickets. Some, like I said, some are quick fixes, such as potholes or trash or recycling call, and others take a little bit more time, such as sidewalk repairs. We spend roughly a month doing repairs in each ward, and we take the most severe cases first. So we have that's our biggest request is 63 open sidewalk repairs requested. But the other requests range from graffiti to potholes to trash, park maintenance, different repairs that are requested by the residents.
And there's so much to talk about too, because we probably want to. I'd be remiss if I didn't say how to get the application, right? So we need to tell residents out there. Josh was proactive and went on the website and said, "How do I do this?" But for those folks at home, you simply need to go. You can go one of two options. You can, if you have access, if you don't have a smartphone device that is either on the Apple iPhone platform, or actually there may be a Windows Phone application. I don't know for sure yet, but either Apple iPhone or Android. There is. I'm getting a thumbs up from Josh. I knew that he would know. So yeah, we're on 3 different platforms, and perhaps even BlackBerry too. So if you have a smartphone, if you want to download the application, you can go to the App Store and type in the keyword C-Click-Fix, or you can type in Commonwealth Connect, which is the name of the overarching application that covers all the cities in town. So Commonwealth Connect or C-Click-Fix in your App Store. You download it to the phone, and you are reporting a pothole in like 2 minutes. The other way we can do it is if you don't have access to a smartphone, we know many folks don't, you can simply log on to our website. And right there on the front part of our website, on the left-hand side, there's something that says Submit an Issue or Submit a Ticket. You click on that, and our C-Click-Fix web-based app is available for you to place a spot on the map and put in the ticket. Now, one very impressive number. Now, these numbers are really impressive on their own. But what's more impressive, and Fran, if you could bring up the Malden ranking image that shows us where we stand, and we're going to take a look at that. C-Click-Fix is available all throughout the country. We're up there with some of the biggest municipalities in the country. Right now, and this is a daily rating, so basically it takes the number of tickets that were submitted and the response rate and the timeliness of the response. And if you see there, and I'm not sure if you can see this at home, Malden is currently trending 3rd in the entire nation behind these little tiny cities of Chicago, Illinois, and Washington, D.C., okay? So we are killing it, okay? I'm really impressed with how you do this. With all of this volume, do you see issues that are trending? Is this helping you to discover new things about, the city that you didn't know before? Or, explain how you see all these issues.
Absolutely. It's a great tool for our department, and the more people that get involved, inputting requests, it helps our department out. Naturally I can't be in every spot every day, but you that lives on Pine Street or another street, if you see a tree that needs to be trimmed or a pothole, it helps us get to resolve these issues sooner than later.
Yeah.
And one thing I would say is Mayor Christensen, I don't know how many mayors in this C-Click-Fix actually are out there snapping pictures all hours of the day and night. But I can tell you that when my phone goes off at night, I have a train ringtone, and there's a lot of those that go off.
Sounds like Grand Central Station, does it?
That's right. From the mayor walking around the city, I get numerous C-Click fix request.
One of my favorite all-time pictures from Mayor Christensen and his demonstration of an issue that needed to be fixed was when, and I really wish I had the photo here, but when he had somebody else take a picture of his face hovering behind a tree limb that was hanging down neck height, and his response was, Bob, can you take care of this? And it's amazing when you have somebody like Mayor Christensen who's so enthusiastic about this application. I mean, when it starts from the top, it trickles down, and he sets the example and he sets the bar high. He hasn't quite caught up to you in civic points, but he's definitely our second place. He's our runner-up right now in civic points. And I believe this is his daily mission to try and catch you one day, is it not?
Yeah, it is. But I have to, in all fairness, say to him, there's a few times that he'll give me a call and pass over the civic points to me and tell me to click it myself. You want to make sure I
puts it on the tee for you.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
He lines it up.
Well, I must say, there's not too much that you can say negative about our mayor, but there may have been some questions about whether or not there was some point fixing going on here, and whether or not he could somehow arrange for his points to be more, 1.5 points per point. This is a competitive man. Okay, and when you put this phone in his hands, he is rip-roaring and ready to go. How many requests would you say that our mayor has put in personally from within this system?
Out of my 1,800 plus requests, I would say he could be 700-800 requests out of that 1,800.
That is believable.
Yeah, I'm not too far off. I didn't pull the number, but I'm not too far off in saying that.
There's a rumor that our mayor actually does not sleep, and that the man is walking the streets of Malden. That's actually, not to joke too much about it, but one of the things I like that he does is he often does walk to work. Yep. And he has phone in hand, and we joke because he'll give you a call and say, "Bad news, Bobby, I'm walking to work today."
Yeah,
so what does that usually mean?
Absolutely. I can tell just by the route that the mayor's walking around by his C-click entries where he is and what's going on in the city with what comes in on C-click fix.
And I must say too, these kinds of things again, when we get back to the seriousness of this, there are certain things that have come out of. There was a theory that emanated from New York. It was popularized by former Mayor Rudolph Giuliani about the broken windows theory, and how that can essentially, the nutshell of it is broken windows in the neighborhood means that quality of life is generally looked at as down. You don't feel very safe in your environment. You see graffiti, you see broken windows, you see high grass, bushes that may be over, that are leaning over that limit visibility. These can really kind of, I know as a resident, they can make me feel uneasy, and I can't stress this enough. Director Knox has an enormous amount of work that he has to do just based off of things that aren't even coming from residents. When you tack this on, I really applaud you for what you've done in here, and it really makes things, it makes this city more livable, a better place to be. Would you say that as well from your perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I enjoy my job. I enjoy doing this portion of it, and I have to say that the men and the women of the department that actually carry out and do the requests that come in and realize how serious it is having that public relationship and the response to the resident. Since I took over as director, I can't applaud them enough for the staff that I do have and the work that they do day to day to make Malden a better place to live, resolving these issues for the residents.
Yeah, that's great. It really, and I applaud a man who credits his staff for it, because it wouldn't be able to get done alone. Before we close out, I just wanted to briefly talk about, what recourse does a resident have when, if I click on, or if I submit a pothole to you, and for some reason it wasn't quite to my satisfaction. Does the resident have recourse within this system? If you could explain that and how you manage those requests.
Absolutely. If you're not happy with the response or the answer that's given from my office, either me or one of my staff, you can reopen the ticket and we'll investigate it again. I've had it happen maybe once or twice. I don't like to see it happen. Once or twice where
good
we've
numbers.
had a pothole request, and for whatever reason we went to a different address or we missed it, or various different things. It's happened a few times, but absolutely, you can reopen a ticket, enter your comments, and then we'll answer and respond and look into your situation further.
The system is really smart. It knows enough that if you put in a comment that you are trying to reopen it, and then Bob will receive a notification that the ticket has been reopened. And the great thing is you can add different things. You can add an updated photo. This could have been an innocent mistake. Sometimes geographically, we have potholes within 10 or 15 feet of each other. Somebody comes in and patches one, they thought they had it, and then they thought they got the right one, and then it's easily fixed, and that's what it's all about. It's about the response that you as a department, give the residents.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, it's a great tool. It makes our department accountable. We hear you. We want to address the situations as soon as they come in. We put all our efforts towards doing that, because it makes Malden a better place to live. And I think that connection between the Department of Public Works and the residents firsthand is something that was lacking in the past, that I strive for with my staff now, is relation between the residents.
Yeah, you certainly do. And I couldn't have said any better with that. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ron,
Director of
for having
Public Works, Bobby Knox, thank you for joining us. And to our next guest. Good evening. Welcome back to the Malden Zone. Again, my name is Ron Cochran. I am the Director of Communications with the City of Malden in Mayor Christensen's office. Tonight, we've been talking about communications and communication technology within the city. And we've covered a couple of areas, or one specific area, about how it is that the city responds to quality of life issues that the residents report to us with an exciting new tool, Commonwealth Connect, also known as SeeClickFix, and how residents report to us. That has been an education in good life of Malden. There are many things that we strive for here in the city of Malden, and at the core of it is a satisfaction of our residents and how they feel about the city. With us tonight is our Ward 1 School Committee member, Jen Cabral. Thank you so much for joining us on the Malden Zone. It's good to see you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Jen is actively involved in many things within the school committee. Too many to count tonight, but we're going to focus on one in particular, very important one, and that is how you have taken on the task of dealing with the diversity of Malden and languages spoken. But before you do that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? How long have you been on the school committee? What's your background? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I've been on the school committee now. This is my second year. I actually worked for the Mass Association of School Committees for 13 years. And when I moved jobs, this basically became my second job. I left the School Committee Association, took on a new employment, as well as becoming a new Malden School Committee member. And with the background that they gave me and the experience, I feel that, I could certainly take on, after being a PTO member and a school council member at the Ferryway, that I felt I could jump in and really try to make a difference for parents and as well as the students.
Well, we've been hearing a lot about you and a lot of the good things that have come our way. We've a lot, parents and feedback. Our mayor meets with you frequently,
Yes.
and if that's any indication of it, that united front in how to solve problems within the city of Malden, that's an indication of how you're doing. So there's no question about that. Now, English is not your only language spoken, correct?
It is not.
You speak another language.
It's not. I actually speak two.
Two languages.
Two
Okay.
languages.
Not just Boston and English like I do. Do you speak
No,
Boston?
I don't.
Okay,
actually.
all
I
right.
don't
Well,
speak
maybe
Boston.
okay, all right. So what languages do you speak?
I speak Spanish and Cape Verdean Creole.
What Cape Verdean Creole? Really?
Yes.
So that's a dialect of French?
No. Nope. It's actually.
See how much I know about this stuff?
It's from the islands of Cape Verde, and it's basically a mixture of Portuguese and African.
Really?
Mhm.
Wow, that is impressive. Well, how did you learn? How did you come about learning these two languages?
Well, my husband and his family, they're Cape Verdean, and I've been with my husband going on, let's say 16, 15 years now. And after the first, say, 5 years of taking on the abuse from his sisters picking on me in a different language, I said, I could understand it. I definitely could understand it. But now I said, let me respond. And I did, and I just shocked him one night at dinner.
That's
I got
tricky.
him right back. So
Wow.
that was a lot of fun.
So all that time. Now let me ask you this: did you let him go an embarrassing amount of time speaking the language, thinking that he didn't know it, that you didn't know what he was talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He kind of sort of understood because Spanish, it's all Latin. It's all Latin based. Portuguese, Spanish, it's all Latin based. So I could understand a lot of the words they were saying, and he knew that. So when his mother said something to me, I could say, yes, in English. Yes, I'll do that. But I couldn't really respond. So in the same language.
So this
he knew somewhat.
This process that you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually a good segue because it sounds a lot like the adoption of the English language in the household from a
Mm-hmm.
parent's perspective. So obviously, so you come from an upbringing where the people that raised you were not speaking English as the primary language.
Correct.
So you experienced school and the notices that came home and things like that.
Yes.
We actually shared a conversation, and it was kind of funny. We said that, I said, well, wait a second. Aren't these kids at home, they speak English for the most part. These kids are speaking, great English in the schools.
Yes.
Aren't they taking these messages that they're getting from their principals and translating them spot on to their parents?
Absolutely.
Not all the way,
It
yeah.
all depends.
So like report cards are on one set of translation criteria, and
Yes.
when Johnny gets student of the day, that's translated perfecto.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Absolutely.
So tell us what prompted you to take on this task within the school committee of looking at language barriers and solving some of the issues that go along with it. And if you could tell us what are some of the issues?
Sure. I actually got involved with a parent who came to me in regards to her communication and with just the language barrier that she was having, and she knew of many of other Spanish parents who were having the same issue at the high school. So we got together and we formed this Latino parent support group, which from that group I've gotten a lot of parents coming back to me and asking me to help them either translate or direct them to who can help them. And I thought to myself, this is really a big issue because it's not only Spanish, it's the Haitian, it's Portuguese, it's all the Cambodian languages, Vietnamese, it's all the different languages. So I'm here one person helping one set of parents when there are many other parents who need the help. And I've heard it over and over from other parents just saying, we need the notices sent home to us in, another language. Or, when we get these calls at home, I don't understand what they're talking about. So, help me. How can I get this information?
And many of these are really critical. These are important messages. These are date-driven, and if you don't respond by this amount of time, then this will happen, and things like that. And
Yes.
and these are, it's a difficult thing when you get boots on the ground and you have to deal with this. And if what our numbers tell us, 70 languages spoken.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
we don't have 70 different translators that we can run around and hire, on cue to come and translate everything. So there's something.
wish we did,
Yeah,
but,
we wish, but
yeah.
there's resources. So we have to be smart about this, right? So this
Absolutely.
has to be a holistic approach. What efforts have you made so far? What gets you excited? What is it that you see on the horizon?
Well, I see the different languages being put to good use. A great example that was brought to my attention was Mr. Brown at the high school had notifications sent home. He had his top students come in and he said it in English, and then each of the other students came in and said it in a different language. It
impressive.
was probably a very long message that you got at home, but for the parents who waited and to hear their language spoken, they at least were able to understand it. So I thought, wow, this is really, really great. I had another parent who said, Jen, how come we don't have that, push 1 if I want to hear English, push 2 if I want to hear Spanish. And these are English parents telling me that there are parents that they know who don't understand the language. So what options do they have? So, this really got me talking with my vice chair, the superintendent of the schools, the mayor. What can we do? What resources do we have to help our parents and to get this information out?
And it's good that you approach it like that because, there is the reality, and that is that these things cost money, right?
Absolutely.
These efforts always cost money, whether it be hiring a translator, getting a new device, getting some means of translating these languages.
Yes.
But at the same time, that does not alleviate the frustration of the parent.
No.
So this is a tricky battle, and we don't face this just on the school front. We face this on public safety side of things. Recently, we were awarded a grant to publish fire safety material to different languages, primarily the Asian languages. These are just basic things about fire safety that we hand these flyers out, and we expect everybody to get them translated by just having that little box at the bottom that says, this message is important, please have it translated. Well, I don't know about you, but when I see things in English, they tend to go right to the recycling bin with all the communication that I have. So, with that said, again, we share on the city government side of things, from the mayor's office, the same issues that the school system does because we have firefighters that are going to active fires, medical emergencies where somebody is, lying down on the ground and they're in excruciating pain, and they're trying to communicate what it is that they have going wrong, and they don't know how to speak English.
That's right.
And minutes count.
Yes, they do.
Police. So when we have traffic stops, or if somebody's trying to question a witness, or if we're trying to give valuable public safety information, same thing. We don't necessarily have these means. And if it's one of the more common languages that's spoken, a Spanish translator, maybe could be available. You speak Spanish, you're sometimes around the building, but that's no real way of relying. We can't rely on the fact that people are going to be there at our beck and call.
Right.
So what do you see as a happy medium between resources and money that it takes and, what we actually have available to us? It's tricky.
It is very tricky, but what do we see? We go to the city.
Yeah, right. And that's
we say,
what,
hey, how can you guys help? Because we do know that you are tackling this issue, and if we can share the resources, that's a great opportunity for us, because we have the same issues. We have parents in the schools, and a child gets injured in the playground, and now we're trying to call home, and we're trying to tell the parent, please come into the school and get your child, or we need to transport him or her to the hospital. We can't get that information to the parent.
yeah,
So
frightening.
you're seeing it on the city side, we're seeing it on the school side, and something needs to be done.
Yeah, and one of the things that came up, so Jen and I had a discussion about this topic a few days ago, and I shared with her a recent acquisition that the city made, and
Great tool.
yeah, great tool. So we were
Great
going to
tool.
hope to show this tonight to the audience at home. Our emergency management director, Tom Walsh, was good enough to secure a grant to allow us to have an opportunity to try out for a year these devices, which I'll show you right here. This device is called an ELSA, and it's by RTT Mobile Interpretation. This is a company that is a leader in having translation from a perspective of calling a call center and having a language translated. That's an old technology, you know, calling. It's been in doctors' offices for decades now.
Right.
But where these come in handy is in how they're mobile. And Fran, if you could show us just a little bit of the video, not the whole video, but
As Minnesota's population
the,
grows, local police say they're encountering more people who don't speak English.
And that can be a challenge for officers, but Plymouth Police will soon have a new way to communicate. Here's Delane Cleveland.
On any given call, police never know what or who they're going to encounter. And on occasion, Plymouth Police will run into a non-English speaker.
Well, it's difficult for us. We look for somebody else who can act as an intermediary if there's someone nearby within, let's say, the family. But that poses a whole bunch of issues.
So sometimes police will bring one of those non-English speakers back here to the station, in which case they'll use either a telephone interpretation system or a volunteer to help translate. When they're out in the field, however, Chief Goldstein says they have to resort to other methods.
Sometimes it's through hand signals. Sometimes it's maybe they don't speak it, but maybe they can read it, so we might write it down. We even had a situation where we just drew pictures.
All of that is about to change thanks to a mobile interpretation device called ELSA.
The police officer would have a device, and you push a...
So it's a rather lengthy video. We won't show the whole thing, but you get the essence of it, you know, the challenges that we face. But where that representative of the company was going was to push a button and have instant access to over 150 languages. So actually, this is going to be kind of fun. We're going to try this, okay? So we're actually going to use this device and see what we're going to... So you have to pretend like that you do not speak a word of English. So we're going to call... So one button is going to get us a Spanish translator.
This is great.
So we're going to pretend that
This
you're...
conversation may be monitored and recorded. Esta conversación va a estar automáticamente grabada.
Well, let's hope it works because we're on live TV, and if this
Yes.
doesn't work, we're in real big trouble.
Thank you for calling RTT Interpretation. This is Kay. Please hold for your Spanish interpreter.
So one button is Spanish, two buttons would get me access to over 150 different languages. So I just engaged for one button because I knew we had Spanish. So while we're on hold, so the scenario we're going to play out here is that you've come into the superintendent's office and
Yes.
you're looking for what the last day of school is.
Okay.
How's that?
All right.
So, you know, it's a common thing. We get folks that come in, walk-up traffic, into our superintendent's office. You know,
Thank
we.
you for holding. Spanish interpreter 13230 on the line. Please go ahead.
Hello, my name. Yes, my name is Ron Cochran, and I need a Spanish translator for a woman who's come into my office looking for some information.
Certainly, sure. Be happy to help.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Her name is Jen, and that's all I've got out of her so far. So can we? Can you say hello to Jen and ask her what her question is?
Sure. Hola, mi nombre es Julio. Yo voy a ser su intérprete. ¿Qué la trae por aquí?
Hola, Julio. Sí, quisiera preguntarle al señor, ¿cuál es el último día de la escuela?
Yes, I wanted to ask you which is my last day of school.
Okay, you can respond that the last day of school, I hope I get this right, is June 22nd, I believe. June 21st. June 21st is the last day of school.
Yo creo que es en junio y espero que esté correcto. En junio 21.
El 21 de junio.
June 21st.
Ok. Bueno, muchas gracias entonces.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, that'll be all for tonight.
Thank you for your services. Muchas gracias, señora.
Well, I'm really glad that worked live.
Let's hope it is June 21st. Now that I'm really thinking about it, you got
So
me.
we got all right, June 22nd. The disclaimer
that
here is
Friday.
look at the website, okay? You get it. We needed something to go with here. So this was really fun, though. It shows the power of technology.
Yes, that is great.
These things are basically nothing more than they're glorified cell phones. So they work on a cellular connection. And, you know, you can picture this. Imagine being out on you know, a call and you say, what is it? Your leg's hurting, you don't know, and somebody's literally suffering, and you can't do anything for them because you can't properly analyze it. An invaluable tool. We have a year's worth of this. 2 of these devices will go to our schools.
Yes.
Now, I should say, again, these are not free, okay?
Right.
They are in on a grant. We're simply evaluating these, and it was really fortunate that our emergency management director, Tom Walsh, got this grant because, you know, when you're evaluating these things, you know, we try to spend the residents' hard-earned money that are, you know, in the form of taxes. We try to spend it wisely, so we don't go out and try and buy things and then find out if they work for us. Right. So we were really fortunate in something that could pave the way for the future in technology. And we're able to try these out. And so far, so good. What's your opinion right off the bat?
That worked beautifully. Absolutely, that worked beautifully. I'm excited to have at least 2 of these devices in our school system to give it a shot. Especially, I think we talked about having it in the Parent Information Center as well as in the superintendent's office. And I can see some great use out of this tool.
Yeah, in the software industry, we call it proof of concept, right? So we want to make sure that these things work the way we want them to. And you know, we don't want to go out and spend the money before we can demonstrate that these things are going to work for us. Thank you so much, Jen, for joining us for that wonderful demonstration. And we are going to wrap up for this evening. Thank you for joining us again. Thank you to Fran Matuccio and Malden Access Television for all they do to get these messages out and communication out to the city of Malden. Thanks to Mayor Christensen and all his efforts for helping me get these initiatives out to the city of Malden. Really, if it wasn't for him and his forward thinking on all of these concepts, none of this stuff wouldn't have been able to happen. And I'd like to thank my family and say hello to my children. I hope they're watching, I don't think, and my wife, Michelle, my daughter, Jamie, my son, Matthew, and my son, Sean. Hope you guys are in bed, but if you're not, hello, Dad loves you. And again, for MATV and the Malden Zone, my name is Ron Cochran. I am the Director of Communications for Mayor Christensen's office in the city of Malden, and it has been a pleasure to host the Malden Zone. And we'll see you next time. Malden Zone will be next Wednesday, but the next time the Mayor's office hosts, I believe it's every 3rd Wednesday, and we thank you very much.
Get out of the dock and into the zone.
How come I never get my